Just want to spend the next little bit talking to you about the automotive industry in Southeast Asia and how we see the great consumer trends that we've already started talking about today really influencing the way that these automotive industries operate here, and really driven by some of those trends. So as we've heard already today, 500 million people coming online in the region alone, with a whole different set of preferences around how they consume information, how they drive their own consumption, driving a huge amount of value that's expected into the digital economies over the course of the next few years. And with that, a lot of money coming into digital businesses to help them evolve to meet these changing trends of consumers. And that's been really part of the journey that iCar Asia's been on. We started in 2012. We're in 3 markets here: Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. And we've really been focusing on evolving our business from what it used to be, which was really a classified portal dedicated mainly to the used car industry, to a full marketplace solution for new car, used car, and the whole technology and data that sits behind all of that. This has taken a lot of work, particularly in our back end and technology. We started through acquisitions, so I think we counted them the other day. We had 19 platforms, 19 code bases, some very weary technologists trying to roll out things across those code bases. In the last few years, we've evolved that into one single code base. And with that, we're able to integrate world-class technologies like Elasticsearch, like the world-leading machine learning and AI from Google to help personalize the experience to each of the individual consumers that come to our platform. And with that, we've seen a great adoption of people interested in buying cars using our platform to make their decisions. So now 12 million users come to our platform every month, delivering over 1 million leads to the 10,000 businesses that use our platforms to run their businesses more efficiently. As we say, we're in 3 markets. 2 of those are now profitable and will be profitable as a group by the end of this year. So quite an evolution, quite a journey that we've been on. And that's really the evolution that we've had to really address more points throughout the whole customer journey of deciding what is the right car for you, or how do I sell my car more efficiently. And that's the heart of our business as well. We really believe that we're at the center of driving the digital transformation in the automotive industry here in Southeast Asia. And with that, we want to provide the platforms, the most trusted and the largest platforms that people turn to solve their mobility needs across Asia. And we're very conscious that our industry is also in a transformation. Some great studies have been done of the real influences of the automotive industry and how digital is going to change the way that they operate. McKinsey has a great study that we use a lot in our forward-looking strategies around what we should be doing. And that points to 3 major areas of disruption. I wanted to talk about a couple of those today and how we're trying to address them with the automotive industry to drive their transformation. That's really the disintermediation, which is the main area where iCar Asia plays, helping businesses connect more closely with consumers. Also, disaggregation, which is a very fascinating topic for us here, and particularly how that influences car purchaser decisions as different innovative mobility solutions are provided to the market. So I actually wanted to start with that one around disaggregation. And what we see is just a fantastic step forward in how mobility is provided to people, particularly here in Southeast Asia. Great innovative companies coming up with fantastic ways to leverage technology and utilize mobility in a different type of way. We often get asked, what does that mean for a business like yours that really is dedicated to the digitization of the automotive industry, and particularly for those mobility services that relate to cars? How does that influence transactions and ownership in the markets you operate in? And we think it's actually a very positive impact. And recently, there's been quite a lot of studies being done on how is the evolution and the take-up of these types of platforms influencing car ownership. And we think there's 2 distinct areas of influence. In more developed markets, there's now empirical studies, including this one from some Chinese universities, that look at the correlation and causation of the take-up of ride-hailing in developed markets and how that has an impact on car ownership overall versus what the impact would be in more emerging markets. And what we see is a very distinct influence depending on the attributes of the market. In markets where there is already a high level of vehicle ownership, where access to a secondary income doesn't necessarily influence to a high degree the decision to purchase a car, actually what we've seen is that there's a negative effect on new car purchases and car ownership overall. However, in emerging markets that tend to have much lower levels of ownership of cars, where access to a secondary level of income, and also that the restrictions on what types of cars are allowed into ride-hailing networks, all of these are helping drive actually massive increases in new car ownership. There's a great study in some of the provinces of China of just how influential Didi's rollout of their services have been to new car ownership in those areas. And when we look at what's happening here in Southeast Asia, new car sales is very, very strong. So attributes of our market fit much more closely into those that you saw in China. Vehicle ownership is still very, very low. Secondary incomes really help bring forward purchasing decisions of new cars. And with that, we think there's a very positive impact of the rollout of these. As much as 19% growth last year in Thailand on new car purchases. So to us, this is probably a very positive disruptive factor and leads you into, well, if this is increasing transactions overall, the disintermediating factor then becomes very interesting about how automotive brands and businesses look to use that as a way of connecting with consumers in a different way. So this is really looking particularly at the provision of technology directly to consumers, also the way that automotive businesses, new and used, look to connect with their end customers. And this has been the heart of how we are thinking about how does iCar Asia need to evolve its proposition moving forward to be the facilitator of how automotive brands like this can disrupt their own practices and connect more closely with consumers. So there's already the first stages of this happening in our markets. Already, digital platforms like ours are being used to connect directly with customers. You see this initially in the omnichannel approaches of brands as they start to use digital platforms to connect with consumers directly, push their brand messaging. Still very low compared to some other markets, and we expect this to grow rapidly over the course of the next 5 years and to be worth about 1 billion Australian dollars in terms of digital spend by 2025. With that in mind, we're very conscious of providing solutions to brands and dealerships to connect using our platforms and influence people throughout their decision-making process of buying a car. That's led us to develop some market-leading solutions around advertising, where we leverage our online platforms to allow brands to connect clearly early in the stage of decision-making and then further down the funnel. It leads us to use our online properties to also deliver online to offline event experiences for brands to help them further push their messaging and offers to drive their new car sales. And more recently, we've been very much focused at providing the right solution for brands, and particularly in the dealership, where we are generating new car leads and providing the digital platforms for people within that industry to be able to foster these leads through to transactions. So this is a whole new area for us overall. We partner with manufacturers to get the best photography specifications, complement that with our own content to help people move through that decision-making process around what's the best new car for them, gather their information online and qualify this through our online processes and in some of our telesales teams, and then deliver those into a lead management solution that we provide into the dealership so that sales agents can better handle new car leads from consumers that have much higher expectations now on how quickly they should be called back, how they should be fostered through to a transaction. So a whole new experience for brands and dealers to use to really meet the expectations of new car consumer buyers. The other big area around automotive is really the used car space. A much higher volume of transactions already occurs in used cars versus new. And this is going to be the area of the industry that continues to grow. As penetration rises, new cars will eventually slow down, similar to other markets. And what we'll see is a much stronger growth rate in used car transactions overall. So there again, we're trying to provide the ecosystem to the used car industry to help them facilitate those transactions. That starts with our market-leading marketplaces in the 3 largest markets here in the region. That allows dealers to connect with users early on, again, in their decision-making process, foster them all the way through to a transaction. And more recently, we've realized that there's a real barrier in some instances to transactions around the trade-in of a car. So that's taken us to introduce complimentary auction services to those dealers, where they can take a car that is part of the transaction and either sell it off to our own dealer network, helping them to close more car sales overall. And how far have we come in terms of penetration? Well, we already see very substantial adoption across the region of digital platforms like ours. It's the highest for us in Thailand, where every 2 out of 3 dealers use our platforms to actually sell used cars. And with that, we're trying to step into not only an advertising business, but really get to the heart of how these dealerships work, whether you're a new car dealer or a used car dealer. And that's enabled us to bring together what has been a different set of products into a single platform that we're now going to provide into dealerships to allow them to better foster the way that they work inside and handle these raised expectations of digital customers. So that really brings together many aspects of our overall proposition. It's at the dealership, helping you manage your inventory, create ads. It's helping manage you the leads off the back of those. It's finding you the right cars or helping you complete transactions with a trade-in solution. And it's providing you with the right data insights across each of those touch points and across the industry to help you really make better decisions around really running your business. So for us, that is trying to provide something that solves each of the things along the process of running a new car or a used car dealership. So that's right at the beginning, sourcing the right car from you, coming to our platforms, buying a car directly from us, from the private and fleet sellers that auction cars to our dealer networks. It's creating the ads around those particular cars and publishing them. At the moment, publishing to our platforms. In the future, we'll allow people to publish it to any platform that will generate a lead. It's taking those leads in from all of those platforms and fostering those through to a long-term relationship, starting with the transaction and finishing with the long-term period of ownership of the car, which is where a lot of the value will shift in the industry moving forward. And at that point of transaction, providing a solution around trade-in. How should they value the car as part of that transaction? And then how should they facilitate either selling it themselves by adding it back onto our marketplaces or pushing it into an auction platform where they can sell it to our dealer networks. And underpinning all of that with the data at every single touch point, as well as across the industry, to help people run their businesses in a much more professional way. And the best example for us of this and the progress we've made is one of the key partnerships we have in Thailand with BMW. This is a long-term partnership we have with this particular brand, where we work with them on advertising solutions to push launch of cars, to reinforce their brands. We work with their whole new car dealer network to generate leads for them, provide them the lead management tool to foster those leads through to a transaction. We work with them on their certified used car program in order to have a great digital solution for their dealers to be able to get leads to buy their certified used cars. And every month, we're back at their offices and to their dealers, providing them with the data insights to help them improve their businesses and drive more transactions for them in this particular market. So just a snapshot of the road that we're on to really driving the digital transformation in the automotive industry. And that's the aim for us overall, to really be the partner to that digital transformation. Thanks very much.